For this video, the complexities surrounding the 2025 Cost of Living Adjustment, COLA, and its impact on your pension increase are thoroughly explored. An understanding will be gained as to why the expected rise in your retirement income might feel surprisingly modest. What if I told you your 2025 pension increase isn't what it seems? While the COLA announcement might sound good on paper, the reality for many pensioners is a much smaller bump than expected. Stick around as we unveil the hidden factors that are making your pension increase feel surprisingly small, and how the 2025 COLA actually plays out. If you've had this reaction, you're not alone. Thousands of pensioners and retirees across the country are scratching their heads, wondering why the 2025 COLA seems so underwhelming. After all, inflation is still a buzzword. Groceries cost more than they did a year ago. Healthcare bills haven't stopped climbing. Utilities are unpredictable. So why does the increase in your pension feel so small compared to the reality of your expenses? Today, we're diving into the 2025 COLA conundrum. We'll unpack what this adjustment really means, how it's calculated, and why your take-home raise might not feel like much once all the pieces are in play. More importantly, we'll talk about what you can actually do about it, how to stretch those dollars, plan smarter, and avoid the disappointment trap when looking at future pension increases. So grab a coffee, get comfortable, and let's take this step by step. Because while the numbers may look frustrating, the story behind them is worth understanding. And once you do, you'll not only make sense of your 2025 pension increase, you'll also be better prepared for what's coming next. The 2025 COLA conundrum: why your raise disappoint. When the Social Security Administration or pension boards announce a COLA, it usually makes the news cycle. The numbers are presented almost like a gift. For 2025, the increase was greeted with cautious optimism. Headlines framed it as good news for retirees. Financial outlets reported the percentage, analysts offered quick takes, and many people thought, finally, a little relief. But the reality for most pensioners is sobering. By the time you get your actual statement, the numbers on the page don't match the emotion of those headlines. The so-called raise barely moves the needle. This emotional roller coaster happens because we tend to imagine COLA increases as straightforward raises, almost like when we were working and received a cost of living bump in a paycheck. But pensions aren't paychecks. They're layered with complexities, deductions, insurance premiums, taxes, and timing issues that all erode the increase before it ever hits your bank account. That's why your COLA can look great on paper, but feel invisible in real life. So what exactly happened this year? Why is the 2025 COLA being described as a positive adjustment, but not making anyone feel richer? To answer that, we need to zoom in on how these adjustments are calculated in the first place. Understanding the COLA calculation more than just inflation. The first thing to know is that COLA is not some random number pulled out of a hat. It's tied directly to the Consumer Price Index for urban wage earners and clerical workers, better known as the CPI-W. This index tracks price changes in a basket of goods and services, from food and housing to transportation and medical care. But here's the catch. COLA doesn't measure inflation in the present moment. It uses a very specific window of time. For the 2025 adjustment, the government looked at inflation data from the third quarter of 2023 compared to the third quarter of 2024. That's it. July through September of those 2 years. So if inflation was sky high in early 2024 but cooled off by the summer, that cooling effect is what shows up in your COLA, not the pain you felt in January or February when grocery bills were crushing your budget. It's all about that narrow 3-month snapshot. And the CPI-W itself? That's another wrinkle. Many retirees argue it doesn't reflect the true cost pressures they face. Seniors spend more on healthcare, prescription drugs, and housing maintenance areas where prices can rise faster than the general index suggests. Yet COLA still leans on this broader measure, which often lags behind the reality retirees are living day to day. So when you see that official percentage increase, it may not line up with your personal experience. It's not that the number is wrong, it's that it's incomplete. It doesn't account for the fact that inflation hits older households differently. Now, let's move from theory to reality. Even if COLA gives you a few extra dollars, why does so much of it seem to vanish by the time you see your net pension amount? That's where hidden factors come into play. The hidden factors, why your individual increase differs. This is where the disappointment really kicks in. On paper, you might have gotten, say, a 2.6% raise. But when you look at your bank deposit, that increase is slashed in half or worse. Why? Because your pension isn't just a straight payout. It's subject to deductions. Let's start with Medicare Part B. For most retirees, this premium comes straight out of your Social Security or pension check. And every year, it tends to go up. In some years, the Medicare premium increase can eat your entire COLA and then some. So while the government announces a raise, you never feel it because healthcare costs rise just as quickly, sometimes faster. Taxes are another hidden culprit. If your income level creeps up because of COLA, you might find yourself paying a bit more in taxes. Even a small shift can nibble away at your increase. Then there are other deductions: health insurance premiums, union dues in certain pension plans, or even state-specific adjustments. Every one of these takes a bite out of your gross increase. And finally, let's not forget pension plan rules. Some plans have caps on COLA increases. Others apply a percentage only to part of your benefit. The formulas vary, but the outcome is often the same. You're left with less than what you expected. So when you see that your deposit only grew by a few dollars a month, it's not because the government miscalculated, it's because the real world of deductions and rising premiums swallowed up your raise before it ever reached your wallet. Past, present, and future COLA trends and projections. To put 2025 in perspective, it helps to look backward. In recent years, COLAs have been a mixed bag. The early 2020s brought unusually high adjustments because inflation was surging after the pandemic. Retirees saw increases of over 8% in 2023, which felt like a windfall at the time, even though, truthfully, much of it went straight to cover runaway prices. But as inflation has cooled, so too have COLAs. The 2025 adjustment reflects the downward trend. It's smaller than the last few years, which makes sense from a technical perspective, but feels frustrating when your personal bills haven't cooled nearly as much. Looking forward, the projections suggest we'll continue to see modest COLAs in the near future. Economic indicators like interest rates, energy prices, and wage growth all suggest inflation is stabilizing, not spiking. That means future adjustments are likely to be steady but underwhelming. Some economists even warn that COLA increases could shrink further if the economy tips into a mild recession and inflation dips below target. For retirees, that raises a sobering question. How do you budget when your pension increases don't keep pace with the costs that matter most to you? That brings us to perhaps the most important part of this conversation: what you can actually do about it. Maximizing your pension, practical strategies. Here's the truth. You can't control COLA. You can't control inflation. You can't control Medicare premiums or pension plan formulas. But what you can control is how you respond. First, it's about budgeting realistically. When you know COLA increases will likely be modest, it's wise to plan your expenses around the net amount you actually receive, not the gross raise that gets announced. Build a budget that reflects your true income after deductions, so you're not caught off guard. Second, consider diversifying your income streams. Relying solely on a pension can leave you vulnerable to exactly this kind of frustration. Whether it's part-time work, small investments, or tapping into retirement savings strategically, having multiple sources of income can cushion the blow when COLA feels inadequate. Third, don't be afraid to seek professional advice. A financial planner who understands retirement planning can help you structure your withdrawals, investments, and tax strategies in ways that maximize every dollar. Sometimes, just shifting how you draw from your accounts can offset the disappointment of a small COLA. Finally, there's mindset. It's easy to feel discouraged when your raise doesn't feel like a raise at all. But remember, COLA is a protection mechanism. It's not designed to make you wealthy. It's designed to prevent your pension from eroding completely over time. Without it, inflation would eat your retirement income alive. Even a small increase is better than none, and it compounds year after year. So while it may not feel like much in 2025, that adjustment will stay with you. And future increases, however small, will build on top of it. The 2025 COLA is a reminder of the delicate balance between economic policy and everyday life. On paper, it looks like progress. In reality, it feels like standing still. But once you understand the calculation, the timing, the deductions, and the long-term picture, the disappointment becomes less about being cheated and more about recognizing the system for what it is. Your pension increase may not buy you everything you hoped for this year, but it does buy you protection. It ensures that even as the economy shifts, your retirement income won't remain frozen while the world grows more expensive. And in the end, that protection matters. It may not feel like much today, but it's the foundation of financial stability tomorrow. So if your pension increase feels small, know this: you're not imagining it. But you're also not powerless. With smart planning, realistic expectations, and a clear understanding of the system, you can navigate the COLA conundrum with confidence and keep your retirement journey on solid ground. Thank you for watching, and if this breakdown helped you make sense of your pension statement, don't forget to subscribe. Share this video with someone who might be feeling the same frustration, and stay tuned. Because in the world of retirement, knowledge really is power.